public speaker is Ray Judah. He'll be followed by Shannon Larson.
Mr. Chairman, Collier County Commission, it's a privilege to be here. I am Ray Judah, a coordinator with the Florida Coastal and Ocean Coalition. Let me just say first at the outset how very proud I am of each and every one of you for already making the decision to proceed with the challenge of the consent order. Also, your hardlining, the questions, the concerns that you have expressed today. You know, it is true that life sometimes goes in full circle. And I have to tell you, over a couple of decades ago, early in my first term as a Lee County Commissioner, there was a resident from Collier County that came before our board when we were talking about an issue that not only affected us locally, but regionally and also statewide. And he reminded the board, and it's something I have ascribed to and held dear ever since, is that when you make a decision, understand the potential impact for the next 7 generations. You have indicated today that you have envisioned your decision as to the impacts it ultimately will have on future generations, and I applaud you for that. You know, it's also really very troubling that there's been an alarming trend by the Department of Environmental Protection over the last 4 years to not only significantly reduce the issuance of consent orders to protect our land and water resources for the people of the state of Florida, but also where they don't even enforce their own consent orders. We have one such example in Lee County called the Cetus Bow Lift, where actually there's impairment to the state aquatic preserve, Malachet Aquatic Preserve, because the Department of Environmental Protection has failed to enforce their own consent order, and residents now are having to spend tens of thousands of dollars to challenge the DEP. I think we all recognize that the chemicals that are used, the drilling fluid, whether it's drilling or the actual acid fracking, to be able to loosen up the oil, to make it flow, is of concern, particularly when we don't know a lot of the agents, although we recognize and have seen that this chemical soup can include toluene and benzene and other cancer-causing agents and hydrochloric acid. And I think the reality is that if those very acids and chemicals are used to dissolve rock to be able to make the oil flow, well, what happens when they then dispose of these very acids and chemical agents only 2,800 feet down into the earth, where there's only a 700-foot layer of dolomite, which is calcium manganese carbonate, and limestone separating those chemicals from the Florida aquifer. And the reason I'm here as a representative of the Florida Coastal and Ocean Coalition is that we know the Florida aquifer does not observe political boundaries. This is an aquifer that's greatly relied upon by many communities throughout the state of Florida, and we applaud you for being on the front line to help protect that valuable water supply. Again, I applaud your efforts in moving forward with the challenge of the consent order. Thank you so much.
Your next speaker.
Ray, before you move on, Commissioner Nance, is your light on from before?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Commissioner Hiller.
Yes. How did Lee County find out that that aquifer had been contaminated? What did it do to make that determination?
Well, it's not so much that Lee County has found out that that aquifer is contaminated. It's the fact that you have a situation with these chemical agents with no suitable buffer to protect those chemicals from leaching into the Florida aquifer. I'm not saying that has been determined yet in Lee County, but that the Florida aquifer affects pretty much a good part of the state of Florida, and it's a potable water supply dependent upon by a huge population of the 18 million here in the state of Florida.
So what, again, are the people challenging?
Oh, that's a whole other issue, ma'am, with regards to the challenge in the consent order with DEP. That has to do with actually surface water flow and nutrient runoff and the lack of retention and filtration of runoff, mainly going over the Cape Coral landscape into a receiving water body that's dramatically impairing Malachet Aquatic Preserve. I'm just giving an example of where the DEP did not even enforce their own consent order.
So you have an issue where DEP is not enforcing their consent order, and separately you have this other issue where the aquifer is...
No, that's an issue right here in Collier County where, again, DEP is really not suitably and adequately addressing this issue through their consent order. They just don't enforce their own consent orders. In fact, they're, as I said, significantly reducing the issuance of consent orders to protect land and water resources, and that is an alarming trend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's going to be more productive. Let the speaker speak, and let's move on.
Your next speaker is